Howdy, welcome to the Legal Hour with Bailey and Gallion. I'm your host, Keith Spencer. We're filming from the Legal Cafe down here on beautiful Main Street in downtown Fort Worth. And today I am joined by Kimberlee Markle. Kimberlee is also an attorney with Bailey and Gallion, and she focuses her practice on helping people who've been injured in accidents, car wrecks, things like that. And Kimberlee, you work in the pre-litigation department?
That is correct.
What does that entail?
I am the pre-litigation managing attorney, so I manage all of the teams that we have in our pre-litigation department. So when a case comes in, it actually comes in as a claim to begin with, and then if we're unable to settle the claim, then it becomes a litigation case where we file a lawsuit.
It's been my general impression that most of these cases y'all are successful settling where you don't have to go spend time in the courtroom.
That is correct. We settle about 85% of our cases.
Okay. And these are primarily automobile accidents, workplace accidents, things like that?
That is correct. They're primarily motor vehicle accidents, but we do have some premise liability cases. We do have some workers' comp cases where a third party was responsible for the event.
Okay. So let's say that this afternoon I'm in an automobile accident. What's the first thing I should do if, let's assume we're both okay and ambulatory?
The first thing you should do is always call the police. They need to come out and investigate the scene and make sure that everybody is okay, and that if a tow truck is needed, then that issue is resolved. But also the police can investigate a scene and determine, a lot of times the liability is determined based on what the police report says. So we always try to get the police to come out to the scene, but a lot of times they don't. And if they don't, then you need to make sure that you get all the information from the person that caused the accident. That is a picture of their insurance information, a picture of their driver's license, and a picture of their vehicle in general, especially a license plate. Get pictures of the damage to their car and your car. We need to make sure that we can prove who caused the accident, and some of these ways of doing that is what I just mentioned.
Okay. Let me re-emphasize another reason why it's good to call the police. In my life experience, and I've dealt with a lot of police officers, about the most dangerous thing you can do is be outside of your car on a street or a highway. People get hit all the time by other people not paying attention. If the police are there, they can turn on those little lights and give you more of a fighting chance. And so one, think about that. And secondly, I know we want to gather information. I know we want to do the right thing. We want to be smart about what we're doing, but nothing is worth you getting hit by a passing car. So call the police, make a report, and if you do find yourself out there, stay away from the lanes of traffic. Try to protect yourself and be cognizant of the other people coming. Sometimes these accidents happen like right over the crest of a hill, and so the guys behind you are just coming along at a blazing speed because there's no cops out there anymore and everybody's speeding, and they may not see you till the very last second. And gosh, if they're changing the radio station or looking at their cell phone, you're toast. So that's something you just gotta do. If you're injured or anyone is injured, how does that change the equation?
Well, if you're injured, sometimes you know immediately that you're injured, and maybe an ambulance is called because they need to take you to the hospital, or if your car is drivable after the accident, you can drive yourself to the hospital. But there may be times when you don't feel the injury several days later. It's sort of the adrenaline was happening during the accident and you just didn't It just didn't happen for you as far as feeling the injury until a couple of days later. So you do need to go see a doctor as soon as those injuries manifest themselves in the form of pain. And you do not need to wait months thinking it might go away. It's better to go get checked out by a doctor and make sure everything is clear. Or if you need treatment, they can help you with that. But we don't need to have a lot of gaps in treatment, because then it comes into question of whether or not you were injured to begin with. And you don't want to have an insurance company say, well, they waited 2 months to treat, were they really injured? So you really need to get into a doctor as soon as possible if you have the pain from the accident.
And if you're injured and they recommend treatment, that's not the time to tough it out. Say, oh, I'm not that hurt, I can do this kind of thing. Because generally speaking, things don't just get better by themselves, okay? And sometimes they get worse because you didn't get the treatment that you needed to get. You've mentioned taking photographs of the scene. Obviously, you'd like to know exactly where you are, okay? And photos of the cars and the driver's licenses and insurance cards and things like that. But once you have all of that information, what should you do next?
If you feel like the insurance company, after you've spoken with them and they have set up a claim, and you feel like they may be hard to deal with, you've had trouble dealing with them with your property damage, and they're just not working with you, and you feel like you need some help, you definitely should call Bailey and Gallion and see if we can help you in representing you for the injury. After that, if you do not have a doctor, we can refer you to one, and we can help you get through the treatment as you go through it. And then when you're done treating, we can put together a demand package to send to the insurance company and negotiate the claim for you. And I think that is what a lot of people choose, because the insurance companies are getting so very difficult to deal with. And we're professionals, we deal with it every day, and we enjoy helping our clients not only get them to the right place to help them feel better physically and mentally, but also help them with a resolution of a claim. Because let's be honest, when we're in a car accident, it's extremely frustrating. All of it is frustrating. Not only the injury, but also, getting your car fixed, or if the car happens to be totaled, you have to get a brand new car. The whole process is frustrating. And sometimes it helps to have a little extra person on your side.
We meet all kinds of people in our line of work, okay? And there are some people, I'm sure, they're in a car accident, they whoop out their selfie stick, and they go online and say, I've just been in an accident, I'm manifesting my patience right now, and this skunk over here ran into me, etc. It seems to me that might be not your best course of action.
If you are ever in a car accident, I would highly advise not posting it on any type of social media. The insurance companies will track you down. They will see what you've posted, and it could harm your case in the long run. So we encourage people not to post on Facebook if they've ever been in an accident. That's just, because we know that the insurance companies are sort of trolling people. So please do not do that, and it will help you in the long run.
Another thing I'll just add, be as candid and upfront with your attorney as possible. Sometimes people think, well, if I tell them this, they won't like my case, or they won't like me, or I won't get a Christmas card this year, or whatever, okay? But the fact of the matter is, what Kimberlee's talking about, the insurance companies have their own lawyers and they do their own homework. So for example, if you were on a FaceTime call with your granddaughter, watching the baby walk at the time you had the accident, I can guarantee you that the insurance company knows that. Okay? And so you don't want to wait until you're in the courtroom and have that sprung on your attorney at the last second. Well, Judge, she was watching a video. So do you ever find that people try to be less than candid with you?
I do. And it's always the best practice to be honest with your attorney. There is the attorney-client privilege. And so we cannot divulge anything that our clients tell us to anyone. So we have a duty to respect the things that the clients tell us. And so please always be honest with your attorney. It, again, will help you in the long run.
And so if someone needs your help, how can they contact you?
You can always call the Bailey and Gallion line, and someone will answer the phone and take your information. And then your case will be assigned to a team, and that team will reach out to you, get you set up for treatment, and the process begins there.
And does it cost anything for someone to call and retain you?
It does not. We only take a fee if we are able to recover anything for you. So we take what's called a contingency fee. And so it is contingent on whether or not we are able to settle your claim. And that is how we are paid. It will come out of the settlement when we settle the case. So if we are unable to settle the case and it does not go into litigation, then we do not take a fee.
That's about all we have time for today, but thank you for joining us again, and be safe out there.